When it comes to fans, it is a fan's right to have whatever opinion they want to have. And people are going to be upset because, especially when you're talking about books or games, because you're never going to be the exact person who they had in their head or who they played on Witcher 3, for example. I don't necessarily consider that toxic. I just consider that passionate.
Nerdrotic.com.
Instead of this really positive thing, which, I mean, there's two separate things going on here. I'm still happy that there's a fan movement that the studio listened to. I know their motivation was to make money and get subscribers on their streaming service, but it happened. And unfortunately, no good deed goes unpunished. Jeremy, behind the scenes, had worked his ass off. He was trying to set up a stream to raise money for prevention of something that YouTube doesn't like us saying for some reason, so I just won't say it. But AFSP, at the last time I checked, it was $80,000.
It's more than that, Gary, because there was a bunch of auction items as well. So with the auction items included, it's probably around $110,000 and will continue to go up over the next couple days.
As far as I'm concerned, that sounds like hate to me. That sounds like a hate group. So I don't know.
Look, I'm not really going to go into too much detail about the behind the scenes part of it. But what I will say is that this has been a challenge for us. And the only reason I'm going to mention this is because it was public information, because it happened publicly before anything was announced. Zack Snyder went onto a stream and mentioned that he'll be working with Geeks and Gamers.
Yeah, I'm doing this thing with Geeks and Gamers. You know, we're doing we're hoping to do this little fundraiser. We haven't announced it 100% yet.
At that point in time, we were on defense at that point. We were like, fuck. So we had to manage it from that standpoint, and it was challenging.
We talked about this, and, you know, we're really not affiliated with Geeks and Gamers as far as I'm concerned. And I really just want to make that clear. And I also want to just say, you know, in light of recent events, I think we really, you know, if Justice League teaches us anything, it's about coming together, and there's no room for hate. And I just think that it's important. It's an important message. And of course, it's, you know, as the father of Asian children, it really hits close to home for me. And I just really want to put that out there, that we all, you know, there's no room for hate. And that's just what it's about.
At the end of the day, it does not matter whether it was intended or not. The way it is perceived is what matters. And there's no doubt that what Zach said has fucking real repercussions, and it's fucking disappointing. It doesn't matter that 15 minutes later, on the virtual premiere for HBO Max on the red carpet, Kevin Smith said almost verbatim the same thing that Zack Snyder did about distancing from hate against Asians and things like that. Because it wasn't about that. It was about that message, the same thing HBO tweeted out, the same thing all these people were doing. It's the same shit that all these mega corporations were doing. It's shitty that the dude who, you know, built something that I really enjoy, you know, in his movies that I've been talking about for a long time, this fandom that helped make it happen for him. It was sad that he fucking came on there and immediately disassociated himself from the group of people who were there to support him.
And cost the charity money. That's the other thing,
cost
too.
the charity money.
You know, if he really cares that much about raising money for it, then why would he do that?
One thing that cannot be denied is that Zack Snyder wouldn't disavow IGN if he goes on IGN, or Collider if he goes on Collider, or anything like that. Why do you have to disavow from Geeks and Gamers exactly? Because of something you heard on Twitter? Because of misrepresentation? Do you think that people at Collider there's not controversial people at Collider? There's plenty of people at Collider over the years that said some horrific shit about people that voted for the wrong person, but that was the right type of mentality. So it just continues to give us a peek inside that Hollywood mindset. And that's what I take away from it.
Well, my thought is he didn't have to say it, number one. And if he said it from his own mind and his own heart, that was extremely rude to do. You guys set this whole charity thing up. You came into your house basically and said, well, fuck you. You know, I'm going to disassociate from the people that made this stream happen. Secondly, if it's not from him, if it was like a mandate from WB, Zach, you don't need WB. You sure right now, whenever you're releasing this one movie, but you don't need them. So just say no. Just say, oh, well, I'm going onto the stream. We're trying to make a difference. This isn't the time. I can, you know, put out a tweet or something later saying, oh, this is technically not associated with Geeks and Gamers. But to do it in the way that he did, it was just classless.
Yeah, he's a millionaire.
Exactly.
He's a millionaire.
He's got his
he can
own
produce his
production.
own movies.
Yeah.
I don't like that defense of him. Oh, he was afraid because of this or that. It's like, I'm sorry, but as you said, it was a cash grab. The reason why they allowed him to do it in the first place, to say, oh, they were going to cancel the film if he came on and said anything positive or nice. It's like, I don't buy that for a second.
Bullshit. They're not going to cancel it. They put too much money into reshooting it, to re-editing it, do all of the ads for it. There's no way they're going to pull it the week before. There's no way. That's bullshit.
Not a chance. Absolutely not a chance.
Talked about this on two channels, me and Jeremy, about how I look at it from a more cultural war perspective. And this is why there's no tolerance there, and there's no leeway that I'm giving Zack Snyder for anything that he said. I disagree with those that think that those aren't connected, but I don't know if y'all know, and I'm pretty sure you guys both know, both Ryan and Jeremy, Zack Snyder was doing streams before he got on y'all's.
Mm-hmm. Oh, yeah.
He didn't say anything about denouncing Asian hate. Definitely on the one that was right before, it was just a young lady stream. He said nothing about that. It didn't even get brought up.
You're right about that.
Yeah. Right. Yeah. So while I understand that people want to try to separate those two statements, I do think that two things can be true. That's the way they see not just Geeks and Gamers. They see everybody else, pretty much everybody here that does content. Toxic, hate. They'll take stuff out of context. They'll do whatever it is that they have to do, and they're grimy. It's some things are going to get said. They have to get said because that's not cool. Definitely considering the fact that you guys have raised all of this money for this cause. And no, it wasn't about Zack Snyder per se or Warner Bros. It was about the charity. But much like Odin just said, it cost the charity money anyway. So if we even run with that argument, he fucked up. Like either way it goes.
Oh yeah,
he fucked up. A lot of people go to our particular work because of exactly what brought everybody here together. And that was that we saw something that was wrong with the brands or things that we all thoroughly enjoy. And that's what brought us together, right? A lot of our content is leading with that specific point, and we want that to be rid of. Like there is something actionable here. We would love for it to get back to in a way that we loved it, and we didn't have to worry about all of this dumb crap that we have to worry about. A lot of folks came to our content because of that reason. So when they see that someone throws them under the bus, throws like a brand that they go and support, they take it personal because they look at it like, well, that's also, he's throwing everybody else under the bus as well, or rather you're attacking the fans. And this is why they worded it in that way. And I don't think a lot of people understood that. It's like, well, yeah, Geeks and Gamers is its own brand, which is 100% true. But a lot of people are attracted to that brand because of the fact that, well, there are people, they felt like they weren't alone in this aspect, that there was something identifiably wrong with what is going on with Star Wars, with DC, with Marvel, with Doctor Who, with all Star Trek, all of these different things. That's what brought us together. And that's also what got people attracted to our content. So when people see what Zack says, they look at it as a slap in the face. And I think this is why a lot of folks are like, I wish y'all would have done something, because they look at it like he's shitting on us, not just the brand. I wouldn't expect you to ever have to atone for someone else's sins. I know I say a lot of fucked up shit, and I would never expect, definitely in the political realm. I think Quarter Black's probably the one that relates to this the most, because we're kind of in the same space. We're going to say some fucked up shit. I wouldn't expect anybody to necessarily answer to, but I'm also not oblivious to this idea that people came to our content for that exact reason. It's a cultural war. They playing grimy. We can't hold the enemy to the standard that they don't hold themselves. They don't reciprocate it. So if that's the way they got to be, then we have to handle ourselves accordingly. And I think that's my perspective, obviously. And I think that's the perspective of a lot of other people.
Yeah, and I think that's the perspective of anyone that doesn't have the internal knowledge of the process leading up to everything. We always talk about things and context not being considered, and there was context. There was weeks of this process that led up to it, and ultimately that I was not prepared for him to say those exact words. I was prepared for him to come on and kind of make a statement, which was kind of all that was presented to me. I didn't know specifically what he was going to say. And I think the other thing, too, is I think anybody can understand, like, if you listen to anything Zack Snyder says, he's a terrible public speaker. He's terrible. He's fucking terrible.
You know, it's unbelievable. You know, you got what you guys have done here today. So super proud of that. That's really great.
So when that whole thing happened, I felt a certain way. I was pissed. And that's why I went live shortly after. and had what I wanted to say said. But ultimately there is more to it, and you have to just respect that process if you're in my position. And so I understand from the outside looking in, it looks one way, but from the behind the scenes standpoint of the person that was involved in it all, there's a little more to that I have to be a little more aware of and a little more receptive of before I let it all out what's going on, and I'm trying to manage that. So that's why I would say that's the difference.
It's a hard spot to be in. Something you can get put on a spot in a live stream. It fucking sucks sometimes.
Well, and even worse, Quarter Black, do you want to be the guy who derails a charity stream that has just raised $60,000? Hell no.
That's why I understand. I understand it.
At the end of the day, if we had known, if Jeremy had known that this would be the result and that the charity would have just stopped fucking moving, that all these things would happen, we might have a different perspective now, 100%.
To me, he said that he just killed that charity money. He killed that charity money. Mm-hmm. And as Eric said, he didn't say it on previous streams coming into it. This was very much a specific thing. And even though I'm of the belief that I think Lethal, I think Uche, and I know people have been having a go at me for fucking defending Uche. I think Uche fucking did blinding. Lethal, Ryan, and Uche, the way that they held their calm was incredible, because you could see in every single one of those people's eyes, they were fucking devastated by that. I was pretty furious.
Everybody ain't built for that type of conflict right there. You know what I mean? Everybody's not built for that. And I'm saying, this is why when I say I speak for myself, in that regards, like, obviously if it's me, that goes a different way. I will say that I do think there was absolutely more to gain for not just the cause or the charity, but I'm talking about the cause of like whatever it is that we are trying to do and trying to rid the industry of this bullcrap that we have to deal with. If that would have gone actually addressed, people need to understand. And I say this as a guy that came from a journalism background and doing all this interviews and stuff like that. There's a respectful way to check someone. Checking does not imply that I have to say, what the fuck you say, Zack Snyder? Yeah. I wouldn't have done that. And I'm not saying that's what anybody would have had to say. Henry Cavill knew how to do it. Remember when that one guy tried to bait him and call him his own fans toxic? He corrected him. He did it respectfully, but he checked him for it. That's exactly what he did. He said, no. Like, I see it this way. I wouldn't call it toxic. And he did it, and he did it. He checked it. That's a check.
Yeah.
But I think what a lot of people, and why we have all this conversation going on now, is because it was like it went unaddressed, like at all. Like it was just, he said it. It was everybody for the most part took it like on both sides, whether you are a guy that hates Geeks and Gamers or you were a guy that that loves it. They took it as a slap and they took it as disrespect, and it just went on. He didn't say thanks Geeks and Gamers for raising all of this money. It never came out his mouth. He didn't do any of that. It would have been more to gain for all around if it did go addressed. And I think there was a respectful way to address that. Check him and check that statement, having still been able to keep in mind the fact that at the end of the day, this is for a good cause, and this is for this particular charity.
Mm-hmm. So to make things clear, there's no way anybody could know what they would do in that situation. Lesson learned. That's great. There's a lot of people in the chat saying they would do a lot. Okay, next time if it happens, we'll see what anybody does if there is a next time. But I don't know how the fuck Jeremy's being criticized over this. I just don't. Yeah. I just flat out don't.
Though. That's okay. That's okay.
Hang on. Zack Snyder came in and disrespected Jeremy and Geeks and Gamers about putting on a charity stream. So you always want to look at where the motivation comes from on a lot of things. We try to practice common sense here, and we know full well what we're getting with Hollywood. I understand that, but I also understand there's some good people there that I've talked to that don't like this shit at all. Do they need to speak up more? Absolutely. Yes, it's fucking time. It is time for the people who are scared in Hollywood. If you want things to change, it's time to speak up right fucking now. Reach down to your pants, find your fucking balls, and speak up. I get it. We have been speaking up. We've been speaking up for years. It's so fucking effective, Warner Brothers is scared of Geeks and Gamers. That's the biggest takeaway here. If you like what I do here, please consider subscribing to the channel and liking and sharing the videos. It really does help. And if you did this with your favorite YouTuber as well, I'm sure they would appreciate it as much as I do.